Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the Duval Dive. Of course, I am Kyle Nash, the student of the game of Fans First Sports Network.
And I'm Travis Holmes with BigCatCountry.com.
And you will find us, this podcast on the Believe Network, doing our things covering your Jacksonville Jaguars. And Travis, I have to tell you, if you are a card-carrying member of the Duval Dive, it has been an incredibly exciting offseason. And listen, I got to throw credit to Hacker After Dark of 1010XL, somebody who's regularly had you on his show to advise the Duval Dive of many things Jaguar and beyond, frankly. But I mean, the list of events that have taken place, right? Tony Baselli, EVP, Liam Coen, head coach, Jimmy Gladstone coming aboard. And, you know, these former Rams being here was big enough for to have Believe in Rams on last week and have that conversation. By the way, if you haven't seen them yet on the Duval Dive YouTube channel or the podcast catchers, make sure you do so. Shouts to Tyler Dragon and Aaron Cocorelli. And as well as Generation Jaguars, Jordan DeLugo, having talked to us about some stuff. But what is it? Travis Hunter, those hirings, and LaQuinn Allen. No, I'm kidding. But there's been a lot of movement. All these other acquisitions, one might argue the Emily Brown's a big deal. But I would ask you, and the question posed by Hacker After Dark, is the removal of Trent Baalke and Doug Peterson the actual biggest event of the Jacksonville Jaguar season? And if it's not, maybe there's somewhere you rank it. But
interesting.
The argument could be made that the actual biggest impact today is I guess, would you combine those firings into one event even? Yeah. I know they happen a month apart, but
yeah, I mean, but it's one off season at the end of the day. Like, I know the Doug Peterson firing happened in a vacuum without the firing of Trent Baalke, because at the time they thought they were holding on to Trent Baalke. However, I'm viewing that as one transaction, as one storyline, because at the end of the day, a head coach being fired is a bigger thing than a player just getting traded. For the most part, it's a bigger general manager getting fired is a much bigger thing than even a head coach being fired, because most general managers hire multiple head coaches. I mean, Trent Baalke was on his third hiring in Jacksonville,
sixth almost in his career.
And sixth in his career. So from my perspective, it's a hard one, because I know the Duval Dive, if you were to ask most of the fan base right now, is hiring Liam Coen and James Gladstone a bigger thing than firing Doug Peterson and Trent Baalke? That recency bias is the thing, man. And I feel like most folks would be like, yeah, well, Liam Coen, James Gladstone, they're more modern. They're the new age of football. They're the new age of general managing and things of that nature. And they might end up going with the Gladstone Coen route. We don't know where that's going to land. We could look back on this hiring in 3 years and just be like, oh, that was rough. It wasn't what we wanted it to be. It's the new version of, I don't know, the Dave Caldwell or whatever. But overall,
that's Bradley. I know that's one you're fond of.
Yeah. Well, but overall, I would probably make the argument that dismissing Doug Peterson and Trent Baalke in the same offseason was probably the biggest story of the Jaguars offseason, primarily because it was a clean house kind of situation. And no matter what, whenever you're going down the wrong path, the person who turns back first is always going to be ahead of everyone else, even though you're still behind the eight ball, if that makes sense. And the Jaguars were absolutely, without a doubt, going down the wrong path with the Trent Baalke thing, following up by the Dave Caldwell situation, following up from the Gene Smith situation, following up, if that makes sense.
And Bob Cooter, whatever.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff you said there that I liked, and I would even add this. There's an element of even further reverberation. Trent Baalke is somebody that the fan base, for an extended period of time, by the fan base, of course, I mean the Duval Dive. I'm not speaking to me myself as a 49er faithful having similar feelings after he forced Jim Harbaugh out of the door. Which, by the way, if things go right, I may get to cover Jim Harbaugh again, but I'll leave that out there. But I think when it comes to Trent Baalke, well, let me ask you, Travis. You're on this show with me regularly, obviously. What is my quote regarding the departure of Trent Baalke?
What is your quote? I mean, that you had to deal with them at two different stops because you're
well, no, that's just the reality. That's the quote, right? My quote is, right, the healing can begin.
Facts.
Right? The healing can begin. Because Trent Baalke, I know they didn't admit to it in the public, but Trent Baalke, if you remember correctly, in this offseason, and I'm not accounting for Byron Leftwich, this offseason, we can claim that he repelled no fewer than 2 coaching candidates, and it was about to be a third until suddenly, as if the grace of God reached in himself, claimed Trent Baalke and also put Liam Coen in the plausibly deniable position of dodging, allegedly, the phone call from the Bucs organization to then become what is now, or that to then bring what is now infamously known as Duval.
Suddenly the clouds opened, the traffic opened, and I-95 became clear, and Liam Coen was in Duval. Hallelujah.
So it's not just the healing. It's not just Liam Coen. Also, another promise was delivered, in fact, by Trent Baalke. You probably already know where I'm going with this. We need to be more physical. And now it looked like that might actually start to happen since Trent Baalke's out the building.
Well, that's funny because we've established, and shout out T-Wig on Locked On Jaguars. He said it very clearly in one of his end of the season podcasts, basically saying when Trent Baalke says we need to be more physical, who's the person that drafts these people to make them more because Trent Baalke said we needed to be more physical. And then when asked directly, well, how do you get more physical? Is that the strength and conditioning? Will there be a change there? Will that be coaching? Like, how does that happen? And he's basically just like, it's a mentality thing. Well, if it's a mentality thing, then does that indicate the people you're bringing in aren't physical, aren't big enough? That's a problem on you. So it was a very clear, I guess, I don't know what to call it, a very clear knock on his own drafting ability, saying we need to be more physical. Because
he told on himself.
Yeah, he told on himself. He snitched on himself. Yeah, that's it. So at the end of all of it, getting Trent Baalke out of the door was obviously the best situation for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And additionally, with Doug Peterson's inability to coach in the way that this team needed him to be, coaching in the 2024 season, it kind of just felt like that was bound to happen. He was not able to. I mean, we talked about this on Wednesday's Duval Dive with Jordan DeLugo. Like Doug was not able to evolve that offense past that original Andy Reid offense, that won him a Super Bowl in 2017, whether it was with the motion,
on the backs of the ability to have offensive linemen
whether it was having a variable run game, all of the things. He just wasn't able to be multiple enough to make that offense work for Trevor Lawrence. And unfortunately, that means he had to go too. So overall, I do feel that was probably the biggest offseason move. However, obviously, Tony Boselli becoming EVP is a big thing.
Hold on, I'm not ready to transition yet. I'm not done. Okay. There's more preparation.
Go ahead, Cletus.
This is why where I stand on it's pretty obvious at this point. What have they said of Travis Hunter in college getting to play so many snaps as he did? Why was that possible?
That was possible because
of Coach Deion Sanders. Correct?
Yeah. You right.
Somebody bold enough, granted, Deion ain't young, that's fine, but wild enough, forward thinking enough, brave enough, showy enough.
Yeah.
Any of it. Bold.
All the things.
To do so. If Littlefinger's still in the building, this deal does not happen either. If it wasn't for Jimmy
Yeah.
Stones being in place to declare, and I quote, them picks, we get no Travis Hunter.
But I want to be
preparation.
But I want to be very clear. We could literally be not even 8 months from now. We could be like 7, 8 months from now. In my opinion, of the biggest move could absolutely end up being I was wrong. It was Gladstone and Coen. I was just off on this. Like I could absolutely, but because I know that is a coin flip, and I don't know where that's going to land because I don't want to go too far and say, hey, I like someone's process, so they're going to be a Hall of Fame coach. No, I ain't that guy.
No one said that.
And no. But that's how sometimes fans can get when their emotions, and I'm just not that guy.
And I get you framing for the audience that I'm not saying it either. This is very good. See, this is what we'll pull them behind the curve, and Travis. This is what good co-hosting is. What we're doing for each other here, right? I also. I'm going to pull one. I'm going to come out right out and say I'm going to reference T-Wigs again, but there's a caveat. Okay. Today, that's how I feel. If the Jacksonville Jaguars prove my crackheadiest take of the offseason that they win the AFC South, right? Then we'll have the conversation about Stones being the biggest acquisition.
Yeah.
About Coen being the biggest acquisition.
It's not enough, but it's close. It's close.
Yeah, exactly. And it's in the conversation, but I have this other problem, and it's so consistent for me that it's even in my old movie review podcast that I reference it all the time. Required viewing on Hilarity by Default with my friend Demosthenes Euclid. I got to shout out my dude. The foundation argument holds. Maybe eventually we get to the point where Jimmy Stones and that group is the biggest event of the offseason. The foundation and the reverberation still comes from Littlefinger getting kicked and destroyed out of the proverbial Winterfell, which is ironic because we're in Florida. Ain't no winter falling here, but you get where I'm going.
And and unfortunately, in this, I mean, I know Travis Hunter is probably not used to not being the biggest storyline of anything in his life, probably. But yeah, Travis Hunter doesn't even sniff this biggest story. I'm just want to be clear about that. As big as that trade was, it don't touch the ascension of a new general manager in Duval County, who was also a Hall of Fame, tackle for the team. It doesn't touch, a new modern NFL head coach and general manager. It just can't. It doesn't touch having a cancer who is Trent Baalke being kicked off the plantation of this Duval, and in this Duval County, the facility, because at the end of all of it, the team had to start over. But Travis Hunter trade in and of itself is a big thing. It's just not like trading for a quarterback. It's up there, but it's not the same thing. And maybe one day my opinion of that could even change. If he becomes Justin Jefferson and fill in the blank, Patrick Surtain at cornerback at the same time. Yeah. Then all of a sudden, my comments might be a little different. Coming 2 years from now, I look back on this podcast and laugh. But for the moment, it's got to be getting Trent and Doug out of there and just refreshing this organization. At least that, like, it's just like cleaning the dirty bathroom, bro. So it's got to just. We need some Febreze. We got to do this thing, flush the toilet, and start over.
I'll say this: everything you said, it makes sense, and I'm not dissing it because it would change your opinion if Travis Hunter ends up finishing his career in NFL Hall of Famer. I get that, but deep down, man, if Baalke were here, we never gotten him. That is the foundation defense. It, Travis.
That's the whole. But then it becomes a whole quagmire of all this arguments, because that's the same thing that folks used to say about the Jaguars would not have
Miles
Jaguars
Jackson.
Didn't draft. The Jaguars didn't draft Lamar Jackson because they had Blake Bortles, and because they had Blake Bortles, they
here.
My overall point was that folks used to always say, well, the Jaguars would have ruined Lamar Jackson. They wouldn't have used him in the same ways and that's a right argument, but at the same time, I don't know, man. That dude was a great freaking talent. Like that's the argument you're making about Travis Hunter because we had Trent Baalke.
No, it's not. Because in no world can you make the argument credibly, in my opinion, that Lamar Demetrius Jackson cleans up the Jags. But there's even fewer worlds where you can convince me that Littlefinger drafts Travis Hunter and makes that trade. Come on, Cletus. There's no way. His hands aren't big enough.
He's a value guy. He does not. He would not put himself into a situation where he's going to give up those picks to trade up. That's fair.
For a non-quarterback.
That would not have taken. Yeah, for a non-quarterback, that would not have taken place. He would have tried to find a way to trade back and get more picks.
Because your point is valid. I know that you could. Well, you could say this or say this, but there is no universe where Trent Baalke does this, dude. You can't convince me. Well, I mean, I'll put it this way. You can't be convinced either. You're the member of the Duval Devout. You know this better. Oh, wait. I'm also the one that watched Jim Harbaugh get fired. I'm just saying.
All right. Yes.
Yeah. You don't have to agree. I'm not. You're not going to sell me on Trent doing something good. So yeah, I'm with you there. Like for the most part, we are in general agreement. Trent bad. Coen may be good. Gladstone may be good. But at least we like the process better. And I think at minimum, that's going to be where this plane lands. I personally think that it's going to be dismissing Trent Baalke and Doug Peterson. It sounds like we're in general agreement there. I'm shocked we're in general agreement, but I'm going to go with it while I can. So we ain't got to argue. Dope. Good stuff. So anyways, that's our general take. And of course, if we find the Jacksonville Jaguars winning the AFC South, remind us, all you members of the Duval Devout, A, that I got the crackheadiest take right. And if they don't, tell me I was on crack. That's fine. That was the name of the episode. It's cool. And B, if you want this revisited at that time, tell us. We'll do it there. Just make sure you shout us out in the comments, be it on the Duval Dive YouTube channel or the Podcatchers or for Travis D. Holmes or for myself, the student of the game, Kyle Nash. By the way, Travis, where can you be found?
I mean, you just said it. I mean, on all the socials, Travis D. Holmes. But most importantly, bigcatcountry.com. We all want to always have you guys covered for all the training camp pressers, for all the training camp observations, and anything that's happening within the practices and the stadium practices. And while we're talking, if you haven't already, going to Jaguars.com. Please go to Jaguars.com and reserve your training camp practice tickets. I mean, these things are going like hotcakes. I'm telling you, man, if you want to be there, don't wait till the last minute because you ain't going to have no tickets. You're going to be sitting outside in that rain.
I'm pretty sure hotcakes are feeling jealous, actually, when it comes to these things.
Bro,
I'm just throwing it out there.
That's it. So, yeah, bigcatcountry.com. We have the story up, or you can go to directly to Jaguars.com ticketing, I believe. And, yeah, reserve your spots while they're still available. There's, again, I believe 9 practices open to the general public, and they've been open since Wednesday. So you do that math with all the excitement surrounding Travis Hunter and Liam Coen, Gladstone, and all these guys. So yeah, man, lock it in. Where can you be found, sir?
Fantastic stuff. My personal champion doing the public service announcements. You got to love it. Of course, I'm Kyle Nash, the student of the game. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky at the SOTG. Find me on Facebook as a student of the game. Check out my writings with the Fans First Sports Network covering your Jacksonville Jaguars, as well as the Orlando Magic, and of course my work with the Black and Gold Banneret, covering UCF football and basketball, as well on the Night Shift podcast and YouTube channel. Check those out as well for all things UCF. So that was a fun one, man. So for my personal champion, Travis D. Holmes, I'm Kyle Nash, the student of the game. Until next time, everyone, class dismissed.